Hey guys, this is Mary from Rainbow Magician Tarot here. Thank you for joining me today. I just wanted to kind of jump into the beginning of this video just to let you know some things. I filmed this video a few months ago, so that's why I look a little different. My hair is different. Not that that matters, but I just wanted to make sure to say that I am offering private readings, which I did not mention in the video because it was months ago before I was offering them, so I just wanted to jump in and say that if you're interested in a private reading with me, the information will be in the description below, so be sure to check that out. If you liked this video, be sure to also like and subscribe, click that notification. I'm going to try to start posting consistently every week, so we'll see how that goes, but anyway, just wanted to give a quick introduction and I hope that you enjoy the video. Thank you. Hello and welcome to another pick a card reading. Today we're going to do a reading focused on how to embrace yourselves, plural, so how to recognize that you have multiple selves within you, multiple dimensions of yourself, and how you can embrace a part of yourself that maybe you have been not embracing, maybe you've been rejecting or pushing away. So this idea kind of just came to me spontaneously because I was just having a moment today when I was just like dancing around, and I just thought about how like we have all of this like this multiplicity of people and experiences inside of us, and how like we try so hard to just like cling to like this one identity, so that, you know, and that one identity is like what makes us good and what makes us loved and approved of. But I was just thinking, like, what if we just embraced like everything that we are, even the parts that we might not be proud of, even the parts that might scare us, even, you know, every part of us, the shadowy aspects, the light aspects. So what if we could just like embrace that we are essentially endless, infinite beings with an endless amount of potential and multiple selves inside of us. So that's kind of what this reading is focused on. I know it's a little bit out there, it's a little bit philosophical, I guess, but bear with me if you're open to it, because I think, you know, it's something I genuinely believe, and a lot of people within kind of Jungian thought and also New Age philosophy kind of have the same approach to understanding ourselves, is that we're actually multiple selves, multiple people, identities inside us that are constantly shifting, and that's why we act different ways in certain situations. That's why we have aspects of ourselves that are repressed, our shadow selves. And so instead of, you know, focusing just on how to love yourself as a singularity, I feel like if we kind of embrace this idea that we are like not a singularity, that we are a multiplicity, multi-dimensional, multifaceted, that it will be easier for us to actually begin to love ourselves, because we're not focused on like just, you know, it's hard to love yourself when you're looking at yourself as a singularity, because then it's like, well, I love some things about myself, but I don't know about others, and it's like very confusing. But if you recognize that you're not a singularity and that you have all of these multiple facets and aspects and parts within you, then you can say, oh, like, look at this part, I love this part. Oh, this part causes me trouble sometimes, but look at the other, you know, good things that it's able to bring me. So it's finding the positives even in the parts that you don't like, even the parts that you want to reject. How can you bring them closer to you and embrace everything that you are? So again, this is kind of out there, I know, but if you're open to it, I hope that you stick around for this reading. So it's going to be a little bit different how we do the spread of the cards. I'll explain when we get into the reading, but it's going to be basically focused on like two aspects of yourself. So one aspect of yourself that you've pushed away, and then the aspect of you that did the pushing of that other part. Because, you know, again, we like to think of ourselves as one person, so we think, oh, I, as a singularity, pushed away this other part of me, but that doesn't really work. If you are pushing a part away, that means that there's another part of you that is doing that. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of weird hand motions. I don't know if that's helping, but hopefully this will make more sense as we get going. I feel like I'm not explaining this very well, but we're gonna get into the reading, and I'll let you pick the cards. We have group 1, group 2, group 3. So I'll give you a close-up of those, so you can meditate on those and just pick whichever one calls out to you. Don't think too hard about it. Just whatever you're immediately drawn to is what you should choose. So hope you enjoy the reading, and we'll get to it. Okay, so just wanted to show you the options here. So we have 3 groups with 3 pendants. So group 1, we have, this is lapis lazuli organite, I think that's what it's called, with the flower of life symbol on it. We have a aura quartz, rainbow aura quartz. It's very pretty with a little tree wire design on it. And then we have a sun pendant, which has some moonstone, that's what that is, in it as well, as you can see. So whichever calls out to you, I'll let you meditate on it for a minute, and then we'll get to it. Okay, group 1, I just went through your whole reading basically and then realized that I was not recording, or my phone just stopped recording. I don't know what happened. I was pretty sure I was recording, but yeah, the video got lost somehow. I don't know. So hello again, first time for you. Yeah, so like I said, I basically went through most of your reading already. So I'm going to reiterate everything I've said up until this point. I have 1 card I have left to turn over, so we'll save that. But yeah, I'm sorry if I sound a bit flustered or frustrated. It's because I've already filmed this part and it did not save. So anyway, group 1, we had for the first 2 cards representing the part of you that you are currently pushing away. And then we had the second 2 cards representing the part of you that is doing the pushing. And then we had a card representing, for your clarity on the situation, what the part of you that you are pushing away needs, what the part of you that is doing the pushing needs, and then this is going to be further insight on how to integrate those 2 parts. So, group 1. Okay, it's okay, we're starting over. So group 1, your part that you are pushing away is represented by the Ace of Blades in reverse and by the Stingray. So I read this description for the Stingray last time, so I'll read it again. And then we'll talk some more again. Let's see, Stingray. Okay, Stingray. Developing confidence, sense of self, or spine. The Stingray card represents a pivotal point in personal growth. The moment has come when the Stingray must decide between the old,
easy, comfortable, and familiar, and the new, challenging, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar. Pressure from family and friends makes the decision even more complicated. No matter what choice is made now, it's inevitable that this dilemma will surface again and again as the force of Dharma growing within the stingray is too strong to ignore. When in balance, wants to grow, eager wants to grow. When out of balance, blames others, quits to bring into balance, move through the discomfort. Okay. So, stingray represents the part of you. I'm just probably going to call it stingray part from here on out because it'll just be easier. But stingray is the part of you that has your spine. So it's like your spine. So I mean that it could be physical, it could be something that's like literally manifested in like spinal or back issues for you. But it could be more metaphorical or symbolic, and that is the part of you that sticks to what you believe in, has a handle on your personal truth, and isn't fazed or stopped by discomfort. So it's the part of you that really is able to thrive in discomfort that you are pushing away. And we have the Ace of Blades, or Ace of Swords, which again is basically the card of owning your personal truth, owning your power, and we have it in reverse. So that means you've been denying this power, this personal truth, and you've been denying it because of the sharpness inherent in it. So it's uncomfortable. It's a part of you that feels uncomfortable to the rest of you, right? That's not in that part. It's uncomfortable for the rest of you to embrace this part because it has a stinger, right? It has a stinger. It has a sharpness. It has this kind of element of danger to it. So there's a fear associated with this part because it's sharp, it's harsh, it's not easy to digest, it's not easy for other people to digest. It's a part of you that you don't fully understand because it's like, why are you so harsh and so sharp and so like, you know, it's like you don't really see the beauty that's inherent in it because you just see the danger. So like stingrays are a beautiful animal, right? But a lot of people associate them as, you know, as being negative in some way because they're dangerous, because they have this stinger, right? Same with this Ace of Blades. We have a beautiful scenery here. Beautiful. This is a beautiful blade, right? But it's sharp. It's dangerous. It's not, you know, super soft and squishy and comfortable, right? So you've been judging this part of you as dangerous, and that's why you've been disowning it. But it's also the part of you that has access to your personal power. So you've been denying your personal power because you've been denying the sharpness, the harshness, the uncomfortability, the part that makes you look bad. So that could be like the anger or any kind of traits or qualities or desires that you feel are bad or wrong to have. Okay, so then we moved on to the part of you that is doing the pushing, and we have that represented by the Eight of Blades and by the Hawk in reverse. So again, I'm going to read the Hawk card to you, and then we'll explain a bit more. So, Hawk, watchful, all-seeing, messenger of divinity. The sharp eyes of the hawk watch our every move. This keen-eyed bird has the ability to see every little detail as well as the bigger picture. When this card appears, fate has its eyes on you, and the winds are shifting. It is said that the hawk carries news upon its wings and is sent from divinity itself to deliver it. The message should not be taken lightly. Though it may seem small or insignificant, it will eventually redirect your course. When in balance, sees clearly, intuitive. When out of balance, sees too much, suspicious. To bring into balance, perspective shift. So, this is the part of you, hawk reversed, is the part of you that is pushing away stingray. So it's pushing away stingray because it has zeroed in its focus and is hyper-focused on the negative qualities of stingray. It's hyper-focused on the stinger, on the blade itself, on the sharpness of the blade. It's hyper-focused on the danger, on the badness, on the wrongness that you have associated with this part, right? So because of that, you've pushed it away because it's like, you're dangerous, I don't want you. I don't want anything to do with that. I just want love and light and butterflies and rainbows. Like, I don't want this, like, negative Nancy, this, you know, this negative energy. I don't want that. It's like you've judged it as this negative thing because you're so hyper-focused on the potential danger, the potential harshness, or uncomfortability of this aspect that is difficult for other people to digest. You have also taken on a victim role with this part of yourself. So, what I mean by that is because you have pushed this part of you away and you've judged it as bad and wrong, it may have been kind of trying to get your attention and trying to be like, hey, I'm still a part of you, I'm still here. And so it may have been doing that in harsh ways because we have, you know, it's a blade. It's not gonna get your attention in a super soft, loving, gentle way. It's gonna be like, hey, I'm here, bitch, right? So you may have felt victimized by this part. So this part may have come out in situations where you were like, what the fuck? Like, why did you do that? Like, you know, maybe if you've ever been in a situation where you feel like you just lost your cool, you had like an anger outburst or something like that, or just this part of you just suddenly comes up and you're like, what the fuck, man? I thought I had gotten rid of you, you know? But it's like, no, it's still there. So you feel victimized by it because you've been trying to get rid of it and it doesn't go away. And so you feel victimized by it. It could almost take on the role of like an internal perpetrator or abuser. At least that's the perception that you have placed on this part. So this could be something that is a reflection of an experience that you have actually experienced where you were actually truly victimized by someone. And so now you have taken on the internal role of the person who is doing that perpetrating, and the internal role of the person who is victimized in that situation. Or it could be the opposite way around, whereas the situation that was manifested was a manifestation of this internal relationship. So I don't want you to focus too much on that, on like who started it. Is it someone else's fault? Is it my fault? We're not talking about fault here. There's no fault in this situation, okay? Just get that erased from your mind. Throw out the concept of fault entirely. We're not focused on that, okay? We're focused on both parts taking responsibility for the role that they have played in their war against each other, okay? That's all we're focused on. We're not focused on the external situation that may have contributed to this experience. Again, we recognize that we live in a mirror construct, so whatever is happening internally is probably being manifested or has been manifested in the past. So if it helps you to think of a situation where you were genuinely the victim of somebody and how now you've taken on that internally, then you can think of that. If it just confuses you and you don't want to think about that, don't think about that. We're just focused on ourselves right now. So how can we integrate these parts of ourselves internally? We don't need to analyze, you know, how this came to play bit by bit in our lives within the physical reality. We can look at that later, but right now I just want to focus on what is the relationship of ourselves internally. So You've taken on this victim role with this part, where you just feel like it is just out to get you, you know, it is just torturing you, it never stops, right? But you are actually kind of, in a way, you are contributing to the cycle because you're actually blinded to the truth of this part. And you're blinded to it, again, because you're hyper-focused on the badness of it. And remember, this is the part of you that has access to your personal power. This is the part of you that's capable of being in an uncomfortable situation and thriving. This is the part of you that has access to your personal truth, who will always stand by what its truth is, right? So if you've been pushing this part away, that means that you've been denying your personal truth. That means that you probably have some codependent tendencies in your life where you take on the opinions and personalities of people when you're around them because you don't, like, it's like you don't have that spine, right? You don't have that spine that's like keeping you centered to your personal truth because you've been denying it because you're afraid of what that truth might mean about you. But that's only because you've been hyper-focused. Sorry, my phone is low battery, so I'm just really hoping that this video doesn't delete. You've been hyper-focused, again, on the negative qualities of this part of you. And so by being so hyper-focused, this part has been acting out against you, or that's how you perceive it. You perceive it as something that's just out to get you. It's never going to end, but you're not seeing the beauty in this part. You're not seeing the whole picture, so you need to gain a new perspective. Okay, so for further clarification on these parts, we have the Seven of Wands. So again, this is, in order to own your personal power, you have to realize that these parts are both part of the same pole, right? They're part of the same pole, they're polarized parts, but they're the same person, essentially. I mean, it's all you, but these parts are like just two faces of one aspect of you. And you need to realize that in order to move forward from the stuckness that you have been feeling, you need to embrace both parts. You can't just embrace the part of you that you think is good. That's this victim mentality, because we tend to judge victims as good guys. And if you've been super identified with that part of you, you think that by disowning the other part of you, that you will be able to move forward. But that's actually the opposite. You won't be able to move forward until you embrace both parts of you, and that will give you the sense of power that you've been needed, because it's like you have all, you have all of these other influences. Again, it's like this codependency issue. You have all these influences of people who kind of seem to threaten your sense of self, and it's like you don't know who the hell you are, like, and it just feels like you have been trapped, because it's like no matter what you do, you feel like you're giving something up, and it's because you've been denying the truth that is a part of you. You've been denying your own truth because you're afraid of how other people would perceive it. But the thing is, if you re-own this part of you, this is the part of you that is capable of standing by its truth no matter what. So if you re-own this part of you, you won't have the issue of worrying about how other people perceive it, because this part of you doesn't care about that. This part of you is like, this is who I am. Fuck you. Like, so if you re-own this part of you, you won't even be worried about how other people perceive you. You won't have that blockage. So the key to getting through the blockage is to embrace both aspects of you at the same time. Realize you're capable of holding both, because they're both part of the same whole, the same self within you that is just split in two. Okay? So then we have the part of you, so Stingray, what does Stingray need? We have the star. So the star makes me think of alchemy. So that's transmuting the qualities of something that might be deemed as dark or negative, and realizing the gifts inherent in them, exalting the goodness. So this part, Stingray, needs you to realize the goodness inherent in it. It needs you to realize the gifts inherent in it. It needs to be embraced as good instead of as bad. So you need to really search for compassion and understanding for this part of you. It's asking you to reflect, to spend some time non-judgmentally trying to understand it. So this could be through meditation, through writing, through art. It's just asking you to look for the goodness inherent in it instead of writing it off as bad. So that's the process of exaltation. If you're familiar with the concept of alchemy, it's finding approval for the parts of yourself that you disapprove of. It's finding the goodness inherent in the bad, the part that we've judged as bad. So the hawk part of you, what does that need? We have the Ten of Swords. So the hawk needs a sense of surrender. This card, it's kind of hard to tell whether this is reversed or not because the way it's drawn, I don't know which way it's supposed to be right side up, but I feel like the message is still surrender. So surrender doesn't mean give up. It doesn't mean disown your truth. It just means accept what is. Accept that the stingray part of you isn't going to go away. Accept that right now you feel victimized by it. Accept that you might not stop feeling victimized by it. And just see what happens when you surrender to it. Because when you stop resisting it, it's not going to keep putting you in this victim role. It's only doing that because you have been pushing it away. So, again, I don't want this to be like extrapolated to like a situation in your physical life where now you're taking it to mean that you need to like stop pushing away someone who like physically harmed you. That's not what I mean. We're talking internally. Okay, so don't extrapolate this unless you like genuinely just feel like it applies. You know, trust yourself, but I'm not asking you to extrapolate this to the external reality. This is all inside you, okay? So inside you, you need to surrender the obsessiveness because you've been obsessing over this part. So find a way to surrender the obsessive mental like rumination over the negative aspects of this part. Find a way to just surrender and accept what is. Okay? So that's what this hawk part of you needs. It just needs a moment of peace and surrender. It needs permission to stop obsessing. Okay? It's like, it's okay. You don't need to obsess anymore. It's okay. Even if this goes on, you know, even if you never figure it out, even if you never understand why this happened to you or why this part of you is a part of you or why your life is like this, whatever it's manifesting as, these like why questions, this obsessive why questions, it's okay. You don't need to figure it out. So surrender to the need to figure it out, to fix it, to make it right, to fight against it. Surrender to all of that and just accept what is in this moment. So that's what that part of you needs. And then we have, lastly, immunity. So this is how we can integrate these parts. So I will read the description for that. And that will wrap up this lovely reading for Group 1. Okay. If you've drawn this card upright, you are not as vulnerable as you feel. You have stability even if you do not recognize it. Toxic energies will not adhere to you at this time, so do not worry about them. You are protected and exempt from their negative effects. You love yourself enough to do what feels right. You are approving of yourself enough that your self-worth has imbued you with immunity to the things you think could harm you. Believe that what you are doing is right. Know that you are worthy of the life you choose to live. So, beautiful message there. Basically what it's saying is that you have immunity. You're not going to be damaged by embracing this part of you. You know, because you perceive that if you embrace this stingray part of you, this part of you that has your personal power, your personal truth, if you embrace this part of you, that there will be some negative consequence. But this is saying you're immune from that. If you embrace this part of you, there will be no negative consequence. You will be completely, like, so much better, right? Your life will become so much better because that will be your key to immunity. Because this is the part of you that is capable of standing by itself, standing by its truth. This is the part of you that's capable of owning its power, that says, listen, I don't care if people disagree with me or people judge me as wrong. I know who I am, and I'm proud of myself. So this is the part of you that's capable of doing that. And so once you realize that, you will have immunity, and you will no longer be afraid of embracing this part of yourself, and you'll no longer be afraid of what it might mean and about what other people will think. So just realize that the immunity to whatever negative consequences you were fearing as a result of embracing this part of yourself, that you have it, that it is inherent within this part. And so in order to gain that immunity, you need to embrace this part of yourself. So I hope that was helpful. Sorry if I got kind of rambly and flustered. Again, this is my second time recording this reading for Group 1. But yeah, I hope it was helpful. Let me know if it resonated. And remember that you are always worthy of love and acceptance. Every single part of you, every single aspect, even the negative ones, even the dark ones, even the scary ones, they're all beautiful and they're all a part of you, and they're all just waiting for you to embrace them. So I hope that this gives you some clarity and that you feel inspired to do some self-love, embracing all of your multiple selves. So my heart goes out to you, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye. Okay, Group 2. I'm gonna get into your readings. You guys, just the Rainbow Aura Quartz. Doesn't this look like a Jolly Rancher? I love it. My friend Emily gave it to me. Shout out, Emily. Alright, let's get into the reading. Okay, so I'm gonna lay the cards out and then I'll explain the spread of them, if I can remember it. Okay, so first two cards here. This is the part of yourself that you are pushing away. These two cards are the part of you that is pushing the other part away. So this is the pushy, no, this is the pusher, and this is the pushy. Okay, if that makes sense. Then we have some clarity in the situation. This is going to be what the part of you that's being pushed away needs, what the part of you that is doing the pushing needs, and then how to integrate both of them. I just spoiled myself for all of these cards by turning them over, but we're going to be dramatic and turn them over one by one. So, the part of you that you are currently disconnected from, I don't know what that was. You have represented by the King of Blades in reverse. Sorry, I guess I should let you look at it longer than that. King of Blades in reverse. Okay, And then we have the Earthworm. Haven't gotten this card before. That's exciting. So I'm gonna read the description for Earthworm from this animal. What's it called? Animal Spirit from the Wild Unknown. So we'll read that and then we'll connect it. There it is. Okay. Earthworm. Oh, I can turn my light on. Oh. Is that better or worse? I don't know. But we have Earthworm. Shy, hesitant, reluctant to share inner vision. We have all felt the woes of the earthworm at some point along the way. The earthworm indicates a newbie or novice working to establish confidence in a new field. Others around you may seem wise and experienced, but it's important to remember they once felt earthworm energy too. This card is a reminder not to be intimidated or lose hope. Mastery takes time, and you're on the right track. Besides, rumor has it that a beginner's mind offers the most valuable insights. When in balance, earnest, intelligent, valuable. When out of balance, self-conscious, apprehensive. To bring into balance, speak up, risk embarrassment. So, we have earthly worm. Worm. Okay. I feel weird right now. I don't know. I'm just gonna be weird. But, we have the King of... the King of Blades in reverse. So, interesting. It's interesting. These cards don't really seem to be similar in energy at first glance. But with the Earthworm, we have like that beginner's spirit, that beginner's approach. Again, it's kind of like this novice, this newbie. So I feel like there might be a part of you that really just wants to like start something new. Maybe it just like wants to start exploring some new aspect of life, some kind of creativity, some kind of talent, or something that you're not really well trained in. Something that you're just kind of new at, that you've been like, well, I'm just not interested in it. But a part of you is really interested in it, but it just feels kind of self-conscious because it doesn't really know what to do. It feels like it's, it could also be that you have this, outward persona most of the time that you like have it figured out, you know what you're doing, like you got it. And this part of you was like, actually, I don't really know what I'm doing at all. Like, I'm kind of just trying to figure it out, man. Like, it's the part of you that's just, it's like the beginner. It's like, I don't know what everything is. I don't have it all figured out, right? King of Blades reverse. Yeah, it feels inferior. I think, like I said, this card, looking at it, you don't think Earthworm, but we have it reversed, right? So it seems like this is like a super dominant energy, like I'm just super dominant and confident. We have it reversed, so I feel like this part of you feels kind of like insignificant or less than, intimidated, right? So it's this part of you that's like, I'm not this, right? This is the part that like you want to be. This is the part that you put out, like, I'm super confident, like, yeah, I got this, but like in reality, it's like you feel super intimidated and you don't have that energy at all. It's like, no, I'm a freaking earthworm. I don't know anything. I'm just a little worm. Like, just a little worm. Okay, I told you I'm weird right now. I don't know. But, yeah, it's like this part of you is just like, listen, man, I don't have it figured out. I don't know. I just want to start something new, I want to learn, but I feel so intimidated
by like, oh, I have to be good, I have to be confident, like, you know? So there's like some perfectionism that you might be facing where it's like, I can't learn anything new, I have to be good at everything, and if I learn something new, I'm not gonna be good at it, you know? So yeah, I feel like there's some perfectionism that could be why this part is so repressed, but we're gonna look at that now, because we're gonna look at the part of you that's pushing it away. Okay, so we have the Six of Staves, which is Wands, in the normal deck. And this was also reversed. Okay. And we have the Owl, which was reversed as well. Interesting. So I have some idea of what that might mean, but I want to read the description anyway because I like the description. So, okay, sorry, my phone cut me off there, but we have the Owl. It says, abundance, clairvoyant treasures. The owl is a mysterious and otherworldly creature found in folklore from east to west. The white owl in this particular deck is the companion of the goddess Lakshmi and represents wealth, beauty, and good fortune. When the owl card appears, it is an omen that a boon or treasure is on the way, either in spiritual or material form. With owl wisdom on your side, you will see and know exactly what to do with this boon, how it can further serve your dharma and bring abundance to the world. Trust that the wellspring of treasures is infinite. When in balance, generous, trusting, secure. When out of balance, money quarrels, scarcity, to bring into balance, an offering. Okay. So owl, we usually associate owls with wisdom. White, right? White. Wisdom white. Right? So, sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. What is wrong with me right now? I'm like loopy. I don't know. Okay, focus. Owl. Wisdom, right? Abundance, good fortune. So we have it in reverse. Ooh, you know what's interesting? What do owls eat? I don't know if they actually eat earthworms, but do they not, are they not birds of prey? Do they not, I feel like they would eat a worm. They would eat a worm, right? An owl would eat a worm. Do owls eat worms? I'm going crazy right now. But no, it's like you have the prey and the predator, right? Right? That's how that works? I'm not stupid. Okay. Wow, okay, sorry. Yeah, so interesting. So, okay, so you feel like you have to know it all, right? Okay, these are like kind of opposites actually. Like the earthworm is like, I don't know, man, I'm figuring it out. Like, I'm a beginner. The owl is like, I'm a wise owl. I have all the secrets, everything figured out. Woo! Right? So the part that's pushing away this beginner part of you, is the part that feels like it needs to know everything and feels like it needs to just like be this like beacon of abundance and wisdom, and it's like, I know exactly what I'm doing, I know how to, manifest exactly what I want, I am enlightened, like I just know everything, right? As opposed to the earthworm that's like, I don't know, but I'm here, I'm excited, I want to figure it out, you know? But the owl is like, no. So the owl is like it's eating the other part of you. I'm sorry, this is silly to me because it's like, it's just funny that you had both these cards, and I'm pretty sure that they are
enemies in the natural world. So yeah, so this owl is like, listen, I'm gonna swallow you so that you shut up, because no one needs to know that we don't know what we're doing, okay? We have to act like we know what we're doing, okay? Like, so be quiet. And you have the Six of Staves in reverse. Why did I say it like that? Staves. Okay. Calm the fuck down. Okay. Okay, it's like you're something to do with travel, and I mean that in like a physical but also more metaphorical sense of like needing to find your place. So it's like with the owl, like you feel like you know what you're good at, and you know what you know, right? You know the strengths that you have, you know what you are wise at, and what you do have knowledge about, right? And you feel like, you know, that's your place. Like, that's where you need to stick to. And so there's this resistance to, like, traveling outside of what you're comfortable with, right? This resistance to moving on to something new. But the owl is a what is it called? A winged bird, a flighted bird. It's a bird. It's an animal that flies. Okay. It flies. It's not stationary, right? So the owl, like, you have this resistance because we're both in reverse here, where you feel like you need to stay put, but the owl nature doesn't stay put. The owl is always learning new things. So the key that you're missing here is that in order to really embrace this, like, owl energy of, like, being wise, you have to be a beginner. Like, in order to be wise, you have to be dumb. Like, you have to be willing to look stupid so that you can figure it out, right? Like, what's that quote that's like, I know that I know nothing. Who said that? Like, Plato or somebody? I don't know. But basically, like, yeah, like, the wisest person in the world will understand that they don't know anything, because there's always more to know, and you never know what you don't know, right? So because of that, you should embrace this earthworm part of you that doesn't know what it's doing, that wants to be a beginner and try new things, travel to new places, figure new stuff out, you know? And it might feel kind of insignificant and kind of like I'm out of place here, I'm intimidated, right? But remember that you do have this wisdom that you gained from other experiences that you can bring with you. Like, again, the owl flies. It doesn't stay in one place. So it brings its wisdom with it. So you can still bring the wisdom that you gained from other experiences to give you that sense of confidence. Like, yeah, I might not know what the hell I'm doing here, but, you know, I feel confident enough that I'm going to figure it out. So really, these parts of you are kind of opposed. Like, they're in resistance to each other. Like, for no reason. I mean, like, there's a reason, but, like, it doesn't really make sense when you think about it, because you need both, right? You need to be a beginner in order to learn, and you need to have wisdom in order to be able to start something new. So it's like you need both parts of yourself, right? And so the part that you're more identified with is the owl part that just wants to have it all figured out, wants to be wise, doesn't want to look stupid, doesn't want to look embarrassed, or, you know, all of that stuff. But you're repressing this part of you that's like, listen, I'm kind of insecure, but I kind of want to try out this new thing, and I don't know if it's going to work, you know? So that part of you needs to be embraced and brought into the owl, right? Not to be devoured. not to be devoured and killed by the owl, but to be embraced and like say, hey, you're a part of me, you know? Like, sorry, I just thought of a weird metaphor that I'm not gonna say. But okay, I'll say it. I was basically like, if the owl consumes the worm is now a part of the owl, right? Like, you can't consume something without it becoming a part of you. So even if the owl is a predator to the worm, they still are a part of the same entity. That's what I'm trying to say. So we'll move on to further clarification. Okay, we have the moon in reverse. Okay. Yeah, it's like these two parts of you are essentially just reflections of each other, right? And you need both of them. You know? Like owls, they're nocturnal also. Moonlight, I feel like, you know, when I think of an owl, I think of like a full moon in the sky and like kind of a dark, eerie vibe, right? Anyone else? But like, you know, we have the moon card in reverse. So yeah, it's like the habitat of the owl, you know. Again, it's not stationary, but the owl. Okay, something about darkness is coming up. Earthworms are nocturnal also, I think, right? Or something. They can't see. They have no eyes, right? So they're just in the ground. So they live in darkness, literally. The owl is nocturnal, and lives in darkness. And we have the moon card. So yeah, like embrace the unknown. I think that's the message that's coming up. Because it's like the owl thrives in the unknown. The earthworm lives in the unknown. So you can't embrace either aspect if you're trying to stick to what is known. Like, you gotta step into the freaking unknown, the freaking dark night, and, you know, look for the light of the moon, which will guide you. And that's your source of wisdom, right? And that's just a reflection of what you already know, what you've already gained. So, yeah, it's like embrace the unknown. Embrace the unknown. So whatever situation it is where it's like you feel intimidated, you feel like you shouldn't be there because you're not good enough, and you're just like super beginner, you don't know anything, you feel intimidated, and you feel like you just need to get out because you have to be good at everything you do. It's like, just embrace the unknown, right? Realize that you actually do know a lot more than you think you do, because the owl carries its knowledge with it, and because your source of wisdom, the moon, is just a reflection of things that you have already gained. It's a reflection of stuff that you already know. Like, you already know how to do this. You do. You just need to remember, essentially. It's like, you've done this before in a past life, probably. Like, you know what to do. It's in you. It's within you. You just have to unlock it and be willing to explore it. So embrace the unknown. Try that new thing. Or, like, embrace the unknown within yourself. You know? Do some deep meditation, some shadow work, whatever you feel called to do to just, like, explore and understand the unknowns of yourself. Then we have, this is what earthworm needs. Interesting. We have the devil card. Devil. So, okay, it might be kind of a weird interpretation. Not really weird, but people usually think that devil card is negative, but I'm gonna interpret it the opposite way. And I'm gonna say that earthworm part of you just needs to feel a sense of control, because he just feels kind of out of control. Like, he just is like, I don't know what to do. All right. So he just needs to have a sense that see, because I don't really want to use the word control as like control. Like, I mean it more of like power and like a sense of agency. Okay, realize that the earthworm needs to realize that that it's afraid of this guy, this King of Blades in reverse. So this is like the person who has it all figured out, you know, the person that the earthworm feels super intimidated by, you know. Whatever situation is causing earthworm to feel intimidated, earthworm needs to realize that the control, it feels like it doesn't have control over itself. It feels like it is being controlled by its fears. It feels like it's being controlled by its fears of this person or situation that's causing it to feel intimidated. So I feel like what earthworm needs is a sense of empowerment. Yeah. So earthworm needs to be empowered to realize that it's not actually being chained to anything. You know, it's not being controlled by anything. It has free will. It just doesn't realize it, right? So it needs to step into its own power and face its fears, because devil has a lot of fear associated with it. Earthworm needs to just be like, listen, it's okay to face your fears. And, you know, it's understandable that you feel intimidated. But you're not actually being controlled by anyone or anything. Like, you have the ability to choose what you want to do, even if you feel a little bit out of your depth. It's okay. Like, just kind of embrace that fear is what I'm getting. So earthworm needs empowerment and needs to face its fears. What does owl need? We have the, what is this, 9? Yeah, 9 of swords. Okay. So I feel like the owl part of you, the part of you that's wants to be super wise, super enlightened, have it all figured out, feel like you kind of need to just like cut through the facade, right? Cut through this facade that you have it all figured out. And kind of, there's like this sense of like stagnancy and like feeling trapped and kind of just like waiting for a change. So I feel like what owl needs is to be the change, to embrace the change. And you can't do that until you embrace the unknown and you embrace the beginner part of you that doesn't know what it's doing. So I feel like the messages for both parts are kind of the same. Basically, kind of just embrace the unknown, embrace, face your fears, understand that they don't actually control you. And for the owl, it's like, stop waiting for things to suddenly make sense, because they're not going to. You're not going to suddenly just be enlightened, understand everything. You need to cut through these old patterns that are holding you back, and you need to be the change and be willing to move, like, again, like, fly, move to a different place. Yeah, it's like this sense of, like, waiting and, like, just feeling trapped. So you're not trapped. You have wings. You can fly, right? You have knowledge from all of the past experiences that you've gained, and those are your wings. Like, that's how you fly. That's your freedom. So you're not held back as much as you think. You don't have to wait for anything else in your physical life to change in order for you to move forward. You just need to embrace this beginner spirit and say, okay, we're starting from a new perspective, right? So there needs to be an ending to a certain way of thinking or being where you're kind of just, like, waiting for the right moment. I mean, owls kind of do that, right? They kind of sit and they just, like, they wait, and then when they see a prey, they go, and they, like, take that moment where they just, like, dive down and get their prey. So it's like your time has come, basically, to just dive down, even if you don't even really know what you're aiming towards, right? It's like you have to take some step, right? So you need to kind of change your mental, sorry, I'm doing a lot of this, change your mental approach to how you perceive yourself and these experiences that you're wanting to have. You don't have to be the best at it, So yeah, owl needs to embrace change. Earthworm needs to face its fears and realize that it's not being controlled by anything else. It has control of itself. Okay, lastly, to bring these into balance or integrate them, we have meditation. Pretty self-explanatory. I will read the description just because I read them for everyone else. But basically, kind of what I was saying. It's like explore the unknown, meditate, explore both of these aspects of yourself, the part that's super wise and all-knowing and the part that's super beginner and super new. Realize the wisdom inherent in the beginner and realize the lack of wisdom inherent in the owl, right? Not the lack of wisdom, but the newness, again, I'm finding it difficult to find the words, but the beginner spirit, the sense of innocence. I think I like that. Yeah, sense of innocence within the wisdom, and the sense of wisdom within the innocence, within the not knowing. So we have meditation. If you've drawn this card upright, you would benefit by meditation in any of its various forms. With the hectic pace and demands of modern life, many people feel stressed, unclear, and overworked. Sound familiar? By training your mind to induce a desired state of consciousness, you will soon change your perception completely. Mindfulness is crucial for you at this time. Try out every type of meditation that calls to you in order to find the ones that work for you best and make a daily habit of it. So, again, pretty self-explanatory. Meditate. Doesn't have to be super still, like home meditation and crisscross applesauce position with your back super straight. Doesn't have to be like that if you don't want to. You want to do yoga meditation or a moving meditation, dance meditation, walking meditation, lying down meditation. You can get a meditation app. There's so many different ways to meditate. Look it up, find what works for you. There's not one right or wrong way. Sorry if you hear my dog barking. He's fine, I promise. He's just very loud. But yeah, meditate, explore the unknown, and go for that thing that you are just like, I don't know, I'm too beginner at it. That's like, well, you're gonna be a beginner until you're not. Like, you know, you gotta try it. So just explore the unknown and embrace the beginner aspect of you, the part that's super new, super confused maybe, and it's just like, I don't know, but I want to figure it out, you know? So hope that was helpful for you. My heart goes out to you. Just remember, you're always, every part of you, a single part of you, is always worthy of love and acceptance and just wants to be embraced and loved by you. So hope this was helpful, and I wish you the best rest of your day. Namaste. Okay, hello group 3. As you can see, it is now nighttime. I took a break in between filming the last pile, so we got dark, but that's all right. So you guys chose the sun. Haha, that's ironic. You chose the sun pendant, and it's not dark. Okay. Anyway, group 3. I'm a little loopy. I feel like I've been talking for hours now. I also like took a break and had a phone call with a friend, so my voice is kind of tired. So this one, y'all might get me being a little loopy here, but bear with me. So this is group 3. So I'll lay out your cards. Let me try and make sure that you're not seeing the cards before I lay them down. Okay, so group 3, we have our first 2 cards, which are going to represent the part of you that you are pushing away or disowning in some way. And the second 2 cards are going to represent, this light is like really intense. I don't know if that's, whoa. Okay, it's just gonna have to be like that. I'm sorry. I don't know how to make it better. Okay, anyway, the second 2 cards are going to be the part of you that's doing the pushing. Okay, so you have a polarity within you, part you're trying to reject and part that you're identified with pushing away. So this is like super yellow. I hate this lighting. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make it better, but I don't know if I can. Bear with me. We're just gonna have to deal with it. So okay. So the part that you are rejecting, we have 2 reversals. So we have the Knight of Masks, otherwise known as the Knight of Cups, in the normal tarot. This is reversed. Anyone is interested to know, the Knight of Cups is actually my personal favorite card in tarot, so congratulations. We have Starfish, which is also reversed. So, like I did with all the other groups, I'm going to read the description for Starfish, because it's an oracle deck, and I like to read the descriptions for oracle cards, even though some people might think that's cheating. I think it's not, because they're useful descriptions, so why would you not use them? So, we're going to do that. If I can find it. Here we go. Starfish. Beautiful, alluring, superficial, or shallow. The starfish is a natural and exquisite beauty, mesmerizing to all. Being around someone with starfish energy is a thrill, like you've been put under a spell of divinity itself. The problem is these creatures have been reliant on how they look and what other people think of them for so long that they have forgotten about their deeper callings. When this card appears, it is important to ask, am I being swayed by outward appearances? What dreams have I put aside to please others? When in balance, uplifting, artistic, expressive. When out of balance, gossips feels empty. To bring into balance, positive friends. Oh, so interesting. We have the starfish, which is kind of about like superficiality, but also an interest in beauty and interest in material things, perhaps. That's not a bad thing. It's not bad to want to make yourself beautiful and, you know, appreciate the aesthetics of things. It's not bad, okay? But some part of you is judging it as bad because you're pushing it away. So we have the Knight of Masks. So I like this deck because it's very interesting with their interpretations of the traditional tarot. It's a lot different with their pictures. So I like how they use masks instead of cups because I think it adds a lot of different meaning. So with the Knight of Masks, yeah, I feel like you are a very creative person. And you have a desire to create yourself and kind of create this armor for yourself, this like beautiful armor, right? And I feel like that's kind of a part of just who you are, like a part of your authenticity, even though it might seem inauthentic, is to just have this beautiful exterior, right? So it could be like physical beauty, like you just like taking care of yourself physically, like makeup or fashion or doing your hair, like you like to look good. It could just be like your personality, like you just want to make other people feel good. You want other people to feel like they're in the presence of art when they're in your presence. Like you see yourself as a kind of creation, or at least this part of you does. And it's like always on the lookout for things that it can like add to this like beautiful exterior, this armor that you have, right? There's also some some aspect of that that's done out of protection because you have this shield which has like Medusa on it, if you can see that. So it's like you kind of want to scare people off a little bit. Like you kind of want to give off this energy. It's like, well, don't get too close. Don't get too close. It's dark inside. It's where my demons hide. Okay, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm in a weird mood. But where was I? I lost my train of thought. Okay, yeah, it's like this shell. I mean, this is like a starfish. It's like, I don't know if it qualifies as a shellfish, but it has a hard exterior, you know? But it's like a intentionally crafted exterior, you know? It's like that's focused on aesthetics and beauty. Okay, so sorry that we cut off there, but what I was saying, I think I lost my train of thought for a second, but I think what I was getting at is there's a part of you that really appreciates like aesthetics and like art and is very creative, and part of that is creativity kind of as a form of protection, if that makes sense. That it's like kind of a shield is what I'm getting. So interesting that this is the part that you're pushing away, because it seems like that would be something you would tend to identify with. But let's see what this other part of you is that is pushing that part away. Okay, so we have the Four of Blades in reverse. Okay. And we have the Crow in reverse. Okay. I'll read the description again for the Crow, just for consistency's sake. Even though I have gotten the Crow quite a lot, so I kind of know what it's about. But just to keep consistent. Here we go. Crow. Spiritually strong, creative, watchful. The crow has long been a symbol of magic. A crow personality is drawn to the supernatural and has a gift for seeing the unseen, knowing the unknown. It is said that the crow holds within its mind's eye the three realities, past, present, and future. Crow energy is potent and should only be tapped into when the mind is clear. Those with crow tendencies must balance their lives with a healthy diet, joyful friends, and regular self-study. When in balance, psychic, strong, clear. When out of balance, ungrounded, hypersensitive. To bring into balance, daily meditation practice. Okay. So, I feel like... Okay. So the part you're more identified with that is pushing this part away is this crow aspect that feels very spiritual. So I feel like there's a perception that you have that it's somehow unspiritual for you to be interested in things like beauty and aesthetics. It's like you're ashamed of this shallow superficialness that you might have that's like a part of you. Yeah, so I feel like, I'm going to kind of backtrack a bit. So I feel like this part of you that is shallow or superficial or obsessed with looks, the unconscious motivation for that part is protection, right? That's the unconscious motivation for that part. So, and that's like what you don't realize. That's why this is in reverse, right? Because you don't really realize that it's an aspect of trying to protect something. There is also potentially like just a super authentic desire to just be creative and, you know, ornament yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there is some aspect of needing protection because this is in reverse. And so we have the crow, like I said. So your identity now is like you're super spiritual, right? And so you want to like cut through the facade and be like this super like authentic person who's like, oh, I see beyond just looks. Like, I don't care about that, you know? Like that's kind of the energy that this part of you has, right? So it's kind of ashamed of this other part that's like superficial. That's like, you don't need to care about that. Like, don't be obsessed with how you look. Like that's shallow, selfish, you know. That's kind of the energy that part has. So again, I'm going to stick with this theme of like the unconscious reasoning for that. We have the Four of Blades in reverse. So I'll show it to you again. Okay. I feel like maybe in your past, or, you know, sometime throughout your experience, you have experienced the harmful effects of being obsessed with beauty. So maybe like, and it was something that manifested as a kind of self-harm, is what I'm getting here. It's like, because it's like you took this dagger and stabbed yourself essentially with this image. Like there's no one else here that took that and did that. So it's this kind of like self-sabotage that could have happened in the form of like some kind of something to do with your physical beauty, or with this like facade, or, you know, this armor that you've put up of doing it in a harmful way. So it could be like some kind of disordered eating patterns you might have taken up, being so obsessed with looks that you like are like harmful and abusive to yourself and your head if you don't look a certain way. So it could be like, you know, mental like abuse of, you know, of this shallow part of yourself that's like wanting you to look a certain way or be a certain way, act a certain way. Again, it could be personality wise too, of like, you need to act this way if, you know, if it's not resonating with the physical aspect, although I do feel like that's more likely with you, of just like something about your physical body that you have had like an obsession with in the past that became unhealthy and became kind of a form of self-harm. I mean, it could even be something like addictions or any kind of like physical manifestation of like perfectionism, I feel like, of like needing to be perfect in some way, like a social media addiction even. Yeah, I'm sorry, things are just kind of coming into my mind, so yeah, I feel like it could have been social media, something, some kind of presence that you felt like you had to keep up this, like, this certain image. It's like a self-image issue. So whatever that means to you, like it could be physical, beauty, personality, some kind of self-image issue that you felt like was just like, you know, super shallow and just had to make you be a certain way. And you felt like it was like super damaging to you and that it caused a lot of self-sabotage. And because, yeah, the starfish is like kind of preoccupied with what other people think of them. So there's an aspect of you that cared so much about what people thought about you that, again, and it was to protect yourself, right? To protect yourself. But you cared so much about it, like you were like going all over the place, doing everything you could just to like perfect yourself and make yourself super likable. And now that you've stepped into this crow energy, you're like, nah, I don't want any more of that. Like, I am spiritual now. I am going to be myself and not have anything to do with superficiality. I don't want any of that, because that hurt me in the past. Caring about my looks, caring about how I come off to others, you know, all of this, my image, like that hurt me so much. I can't do that again. It's like this resistance. But what you are failing to see is that that is a part of you, and you haven't really integrated it. You've just stepped into the opposite part. So the opposite part is the part that's like, I don't want anything to do with that. But you can't actually be fully authentic, fully spiritual until you've integrated this part of you that does care about superficial things. And it's not wrong to care what people think of you. It's not wrong to want to express yourself creatively and, you know, care about what you put on your body and how you look, what you put in your body, what you eat. It's not wrong to care about those things. Like, that's a part of spirituality. That's a part of you expressing yourself and coming into your authenticity. But it's like you have this perception that, like, oh, it's bad and it's wrong and it's selfish and it's harmful. It makes me hurt myself. Or maybe it makes me hurt others, you know. This could be someone else that you feel like you may have had a negative impact on them because you were so critical of them. But I feel like this is probably more focused on yourself. So yeah, I hope that is making sense to you. Okay, I want to go into the clarification. We might go back to that, but okay, so clarification, we have the Two of Swords in reverse. Yeah, so it's like a denial that you can have both. That you can both be spiritual and independent and, you know, fully in tune with, you know, not, or like, I guess, resilient to the opinions of other people, and that you can care about the opinions of other people and that you can still want to present yourself a certain way. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's like this almost represents like your idea of like the ego that you've like tried to like distance yourself from. Like you've tried to transcend this egoic part of you. but it's still a part of you. No one transcends their ego, right? Even the most spiritual people still have an ego. It's just an ego that's obsessed with being spiritual, right? Everyone has an ego. So I feel like there's a part of you that's like doesn't want anything to do with ego or with this like superficial part that just wants to please people. Guess what? Everyone has a part of them that's like that. So you're not alone, and you can have both. You can care about how you look, about beauty, about how you come across. You can, care about your self-image, and you can still be a spiritual person and be fully authentic, right? But it's this kind of denial. You can't really see how you can have both. There's also a fear because there's still a vulnerability that is not being addressed that you were trying to protect when you had this kind of like harmful situation in the past, of like needing to be obsessive over it. It's because there's a vulnerability underneath that needs to be addressed. So it's like you're not really fully seeing the truth of the situation. And again, that's why the crow is in reverse, because crows are very perceptive. But you think you're very perceptive, but you haven't really fully perceived what you need to perceive. So what you need to perceive, take a shot every time I say perceive, is that, oh my god, I keep losing my train of thought. What you need to perceive is that you haven't gotten rid of this part of you, okay? And that you are not fully authentic until you integrate it, and that this part of you that feels super insecure, because again, that's the vulnerability, it feels insecure, right? It's like, whoa, it feels insecure. That part of you needs to be addressed, that part that feels super like powerless to other people's opinions of them, because that's the vulnerability that's underneath needing other people, like needing to make yourself like, approvable to other people. So this powerlessness of feeling like you're never good enough, that's what needs to be addressed. But the aspect of you that just wants to express yourself, that just, wants, to care about how they come off and like what their image is, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? You don't need to judge that as wrong. You just need to look at the vulnerability underneath it that might be causing some of that harmful aspects of it. So we're going to look at what that part of you needs. So what the starfish part of you, right, the shallow egoic part of you needs. So what the starfish part of you needs is, we have, I cannot read Roman numerals. This is the 9 of Wands in reverse. So again, it's this fear, it's this insecurity. Look, he's like super paranoid. Like he's like, my wand. Like you're very paranoid about what other people are going to say about you. He's almost like scared about what these other wands are going to say about him. It's like, this paranoia, this powerlessness, that's what you need to address, right? He doesn't realize that he has power. Like these wands is the like element of power. Sorry, that with that hand motion, I don't know what that was, but wands are the element of power, right? And it's like you're afraid because all these other people are like feeling like they're having power over you, but you have your own power like right here, right? So it's realizing that you have your own power, you found your own power through spirituality with this crow energy, to where you won't be as affected by it. Like you're afraid that if you let yourself feel these like vulnerable emotions, that you won't, like you'll go into this energy again of like self-sabotage. But if you let yourself feel that vulnerable emotion of feeling insecure, you have actually the wisdom that you need to bring yourself through that emotion by realizing that you have everything you need, right? You just need to look and realize it. You just need to like say like, wait a second, I'm focusing outward, let me focus back inward and be like, whoa, I have everything I need, right? I do have power. You're giving your power away to other people when you become so focused on, and again, it's not just like caring you're always going to care what people think. I don't want to be like, don't care. because you can't just force yourself to stop caring, right? But you give your power away when you let other people's opinions determine your opinion of you, right? You can have an opinion of yourself that's different from other people. That's what's hard to like swallow sometimes. It's a hard truth to swallow, especially if you've developed this codependent way of coping through life where you have to agree with everyone else in order to maintain connection with them. But you can actually maintain connection with people and disagree with them at the same time. And you can also disagree with people about, you know, their opinions of you and maintain a positive opinion of yourself at the same time that they might not have a positive opinion of yourself. And because you never know what other people are thinking about you, truly. Like, so the opinions that other people have about you is really just your opinion of yourself. There's actually not a difference because it's just a projection. So when you realize, like, oh, I don't know what, like, these other people are, like, you know, you're giving your power away by projecting what you think other people are saying about you, which is really just what you feel about yourself. So if you just turn that inward and you're just like, oh, this is actually how I feel about myself, well, I can change that, right? Like, I can examine myself and see if that's how I actually feel or if that's just a fear that I'm projecting, right? And if it's just a fear that I'm projecting, then how do I address that fear? And like, what's underneath that fear that's keeping it, you know, keeping it so scared and so vulnerable? So yeah, I feel like, again, it's diving into that vulnerable aspect of that shallow part that is needed, understanding where that insecurity comes from, re-owning your power. That's what that starfish aspect of you needs. So what the crow aspect of you needs, we have the Four of Cups in reverse. So the crow aspect of you needs to trust that you will remain stable even if you experience unwanted emotions, right? So I feel like you have maybe become a person, or I have identified with a part of yourself that has used spirituality as a way to escape from negative emotions. And again, I'm not shaming you for this. This is something a lot of people do. I've done it. A lot of people in the spiritual community, right? You use spiritual tools to try to get away from negative emotions. And so you become super identified with the spiritual part of you, the super positive vibes only kind of part of you that just wants to, like, not be in that negative, shallow aspect of you, right? Wants to get away from that ego aspect of you. But you, again, you can't ever really get away from it. So what the crow needs is to become comfortable enough to trust that you can express emotion and the world is not going to fall apart, okay? Four of Cups is like stability, emotional stability. We have it in reverse. So this is like an emotional release, but you need to trust that you can have stability even when you're going through unstable emotions, right? So it's being comfortable in the uncomfortable, being comfortable with the idea that you can experience a negative emotion and still come back from it, right? That you're not going to fall apart forever and never be okay again if you experience one negative emotion. So I feel like that's what the crow aspect of you needs, is just some sense of trust. So you can work on building that by, like, thinking back to a time when you had that negative experience and you had that negative emotion. Like, did the world end? Did everything really go to shit, or were you able to get yourself out of it? What tools do you have now? What wisdom have you gained from this crow perspective that will allow you to move through those emotions? And so it's not scary anymore. It's not like you're going to get stuck in it, because you know that you have the tools to move through them, right? You found the tools. You have the wisdom. You just need to trust that you can do that. And you can do that by doing it intentionally, right? So a lot of times we try to avoid negative emotions because we don't, like, we're afraid of them, like, sneaking up on us and, like, overtaking us. But the thing is, if you intentionally go into a negative emotion, it's not going to do that, right? It's like, it's kind of like taking the power back. It's like, before you can get a hold on me, I'm going to go into you. Like, I beat you to it, you know? So it's like kind of having that attitude of, like, well, If there's a part of me inside that still feels kind of scared as shit about other people's opinions, let me intentionally go into that from a place of awareness instead of waiting for it to just overcome me and take me over, and then I won't have this sense of stability because I'll be so shocked by it, right? Even though you will still be able to move through it, even if that happens, because like I said, you do have the tools now. You just need to realize that you are capable of going through that. So last card to tie it together, what do we need to integrate? We have logic. So I will read the description for this again. I can find the thing. Here we go. Okay. If you've drawn this card upright, now is the time to be logical. The logic card is the reality check card. If you have drawn the logic card, do not let it discourage you. It simply means that you need to plant your feet in what your definition of reality is right here and now and make decisions according to reason. Reason that is conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. Remember that if your core does not think something is possible or true, it makes no sense to lie to yourself. Logic is about being correct and right, but as it applies to being correct and right, we are limited by our own perception of reality. Right now, be honest with your actual perception of reality instead of what you want to believe. Make your decisions according to that. Okay, so logic. So think clearly about the situation, right? Think clearly. Does it actually make sense that caring about your appearance is bad? Does it actually make sense that avoiding negative emotion will make it go away? Does it actually make sense that this aspect of you that's just trying to protect yourself is a bad aspect and needs to be shamed? Does it actually make sense to call that aspect selfish when all it's doing is trying to protect yourself, right? So there needs to be a change in perception where you understand your reality. Because again, you've been in this kind of denial where it's like, I don't want to think about this, like, I just want to pretend that I am like super spiritual, super enlightened, and this doesn't affect me anymore. Like, well, guess what? It does affect you. So be logical about it in the sense that, like, understand where you are. Like, this is where you are, okay? You're not, as much as you want to escape, you haven't escaped from this feeling. You've just repressed it. So understand that you have been trying to escape from these feelings of inadequacy, insecurity, right? This shallow, egoic part of you. So understand that and get yourself firmly grounded in what the reality you are currently living, right? How is this actually affecting you? Like, what is the effect this is actually having on you? Are you currently in this position of feeling super victimized and like hurt by yourself? Are you currently repressing this aspect of yourself that is just searching for something to make it good enough, right? And if so, how can you address the needs of that aspect? Does it make sense to ignore the needs of that aspect and just hope that they will go away? Does that make sense? You know, really start to question your beliefs and, you know, use your reasonable mind to pull yourself out of this denial that you might might be finding yourself in. Sorry, I keep jumbling my words, but yes, so I feel like you're just being called to embrace, again, just like all the other groups, embrace all aspects of you, the part of you that just wants to be super spiritual, and just, you know, and it's doing that kind of as out of fear of not wanting to experience the negative emotions, which, again, there's a vulnerability behind that, so address that. There's nothing bad about that part. And then this part of you that's shallow and that cares about appearance, there's nothing wrong with that part, but address the vulnerability under that too, and then you'll find an integration of both of these parts, and you'll be able to see that you can have both, and you can be spiritual and still be creative and artistic and express yourself, and that you can have both and like still be able to address all of the shit that's underneath it that's causing this division. So I hope that was helpful for you. Remember that all parts of you, no matter what they look like or how they manifest, are always worthy of your love and acceptance. And I hope that this inspires you to love yourselves and explore yourself. So have a wonderful day. My heart goes out to you, and namaste.